Welcome to GoSimcha, the podcast that takes you on an in-depth approach to the Jewish music, entertainment, and Simcha world. Now, here's your host, Zeesha Littman. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of GoSimcha, the podcast. We had so much fun recording the episode, but it couldn't have been done without the help of our sponsor, Keren Simchas Chassan V'Kalos. We're going to take a minute to hear a little bit more about them. The following episode of GoSimcha, the podcast, is proudly sponsored by Keren Simchas Chassan V'Kala. Keren Simchas Chassan V'Kala was founded over 25 years ago and is based in Brooklyn, New York. KSCVK helps widows, orphans, and people who are in dire need of marrying off a child. Working through their network of vendors, KSCVK ensures that every wedding is just as special as the next. Run by world-renowned party planner Devorah Benjamin, KSCVK takes care that each wedding is as elegant as the next one, ensuring dignity and class through every wedding that they put on. To donate to KSCVK, please visit their website, kscvk.org, today. That's kscvk.org, and help make someone's wedding special. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 34 of GoSimcha, the podcast. This is a very exciting episode. We don't always do an episode where we've previously featured a brother of our guest, but this week we're doing something special. We have on this week for episode 34. His last name is Shapiro. You may not have heard of him. You definitely have heard of his brother, but he happened to be, if you listen to the episode that we did with Mordechai Shapiro, our guest Duvie Shapiro was Mordechai's inspiration to get into the music business. So we're sitting down today with a very special guy, Duvie Shapiro. He just released a new music video, and if you haven't seen it now, it's on YouTube and you can watch it. It's pretty cool, pretty exciting. And I'm happy and honored to have Duvie with us on the show today. So Duvie, what's going on? How are you, buddy?
Thanks for inviting me, Zeesha. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be on the show.
For sure. Listen, it's not every day that I get the brother of somebody else who I had on the show previously. Actually, truth is, with the Friedmans, when we had Benny Friedman, I had Eighth Day, I had Bensi Marcus, I had and Shmuel, and then I had Ellie. It was kind of like that, but nothing is cool like this. Not this is fun. This is exciting. And well, those guys are fun and exciting too. But either way, it's all good. So what's your story, man? I actually, like I said, when I had Mordechai on the show, he was telling me his story, and you came up a number of times, and it was pretty interesting to hear that you were his inspiration for getting involved in music. But what's your story? I want to know about you. What's your history in music?
So we have very similar beginnings. I started off in Lech Al Zeh. I don't know if you've heard of that choir, but I started off there at a very young age, probably 7 years old. And they kind of fizzled out, or he took a long break, and my mother said, let's go for Miami. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to get into Miami Boys Choir. But, I said, she said, we're going. We tried out, and Yerachmiel right away, as Mordechai said, he wanted me in the choir. And that was an incredible experience. I was there from just before 10 till my bar mitzvah. The summer before my bar mitzvah is when we did the music video of Stand Up.
Oh, that was a great song. That was like the first Jewish song I ever listened to. And I had the tape, and I couldn't, I was always, I had like one of those, back in the day before like phones and all these things, there were tape players. I had a portable tape player, man. And I listened to that tape until it pretty much died.
That was an incredible experience. Yerachmiel brought us all to Israel. We did that video, and I guess also it was in my bones, performing, singing, doing Shabbosim, whatever it was.
Right.
And I knew at a certain point I wanted to take this to a serious, career type level. And I've just always been saying it. I'm going to do it. And then just to kind of bring the story to a close, a couple months ago, I did a chuppah for a friend of mine at Yerushalayim. It was a beautiful chuppah outdoors, and people were very, some people said, you sound great. You should definitely take this to a serious level. And that's when I kind of said, all right, I'm doing this. It's now or never. And I went into hyper doer mode. I reached out to Ari Goldwag because he writes some real hits.
Yeah.
And the song, I got Miriam Israeli involved because she's one of the best writers out there. I put together a really awesome team, and here we are. Yesterday was the debut single, and it was
That's exciting. Yeah, Ari's great. And Miriam, she was actually on our show. I had fun interviewing her because her name was always dropped. Like every single person we've had, they're always dropping her name. And I was like, I got to get this lady on the show. And she was fantastic. She's extremely talented. She's extremely good at what she does. And it was funny, like when I was talking to her, I said, "So what was some of the highlights of doing what you do?" She's like, one time I was at this concert in Binyan Yuma, and I think she mentioned that your brother was performing, or like Benny Friedman was performing, one of these guys, and she turned around to this family who was sitting behind her, and she's like, "Hey, you know who wrote that song?" And like, no, and she's like, "I did." And they're like, "What? No way! You wrote this song?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, got such nachas from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I liked it. I was listening to it like 4 or 5 times yesterday. And I was listening to it again this morning. I really like it. It's very upbeat. It's very nice, very like moving. It's got a good message to it too.
Yeah, that was the idea. When I reached out to Ari said he only likes to really write songs that he connects with the idea, connects with the concept. And I said, you know, Ari, this is my vision. This is my goal with this song, because it's literally my story of, you know, where I just keep saying, I'm going to go for this. And I'm going for it. So
right.
Miriam came up with that very cool Lech Al Zeh, which is, you know, a cool slang for go for it.
Right.
And Ari wrote a killer song, and that's what the song is about. Miriam had to come up with a bunch of drafts until I felt like it was really giving over the message that I was going for. And the feedback that I've been getting is incredible, just in the last 24 hours, of people just writing to me exactly that. Like, this song really was just so inspiring. It gave me that exact push that so I'm happy it gave over the message. I gave it everything I got, from singing it to the vocals to performing for the video, like everything. And I think it kind of came out in the video. My videographer, Elisha Zakai, he also was a rock star. He did this in such a short amount of time. It was crazy. It was a crazy last like week and a half.
Oh wow, this whole thing was done over like a week.
So I went into, like I said, just the last week, I kind of changed course as to how I want to do this, and I went into hyper mode where I said, Alicia, we're doing the music video, I'm releasing it now. You know, this is the time right after Perm, and we shot, you know, Sunday. Last Sunday? A full day of shooting. Monday was a full day of editing, and we were able to get it out just yesterday on Wednesday.
Wow. That's incredible. That's really cool. Well, it shows it like you mentioned, how Ari doesn't like to take on songs he doesn't really feel like he can't like involve and get himself involved in. But I could tell in that song, it was very, when I saw that Ari wrote the song, I could tell it's very him. It was like something like you could see him singing it as well, you know. Well, like
I didn't just talk to him over the phone. I went to Beit Shemesh. We met for 5 or 6 hours just talking about the industry, about what I want to try and accomplish. And you know, he got me. He felt it. He understood it. And that's when he said, you know, I feel like I want to be a part of this project. So
that's so cool. So I want to ask you, like, you know, you said how you were in Miami Boys Choir and you did the whole thing, and like you and your brothers were also, you were all doing this thing. But like, what happened? Like, what happened between like when you turned 10 and you left the choir, or your bar mitzvah when you turned bar mitzvah and you left the choir, to like now, like what were you doing? Were you doing anything in the music world? Did you have any involvement in the music scene at all, or it was just kind of like, oh, you sang it a little bit here and there, you played the piano or keyboard or whatever? Was there anything like, why was there such a hafsaka?
I come from a very musical family, so music has always been a major part of what we do.
Right.
In terms of shows, whether it's I've been doing Shabbos gigs, you know, throughout the years. I've been doing chuppahs here and there, nothing major.
Right.
I have been doing. But I kind of just, you know, went through the path of high school. I went to Netiv Aryeh for a bunch of years.
Oh, nice.
And I, you know, got married, have 4 kids, and just been, you know, going through the process. And until I reached a point where I said, I'm just going to take this to the next level and try and turn this into a career. You know, like I said, this was something that my Rav is actually the same Rav as Morty, Rav Avram Brandwein. When I was 19 years old, he kind of turned to me and, you know, what do you want to do? It was like out of nowhere. He's like, so what do you think? What do you want to do with your life? And I said, I want to be a singer. I said, like, you know, straight to his face. And he's like, okay, and I was young and, immature at the time, I guess. So I didn't like take it do anything with it at that time. But I reached a level where I said, okay, it's time to take this to the next level.
That's great. So do you plan on, like, after this single, do you plan on writing more music and putting more stuff out there and really trying to get your name out there and making this a career, or you're just you're kind of like see what happens?
This is something one of the comments I got from one of my brother-in-laws when he saw the music video was that he just said, you look like you're in your natural place. Like that's where you want to be. You look so happy doing it. Like, and it just comes off in the performance. So when I'm singing and I'm, it's where I love to be. I just love doing it. I love giving over that energy, bringing it to the city.
Well, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. If you don't love what you do and you're just doing it for the paycheck, like it shows, but if you love what you're doing, you feel, and this is your natural environment and you're enjoying yourself and you're having a good time and you're making money, that's what it's all about. And you're right. I saw in the video, you look like you're just like, you're in your zone. You're in your this is your world. And you also got those dance moves too. I think the dance moves run in your family.
Oh, you guys haven't seen nothing yet. In my first video, I thought I would take it easy. Some people said, "Duvie, you got to show them, more of your moves." I'm like, "This is my first video. I gotta, start slow. I don't want." So there's more to come. There's more to come.
You and your brother should have a dance off, and see who would win. I think that'd be quite entertaining. I was joshing him about that too, and I said like, you got the moves, man. He said the exact same things. Like, you ain't seen nothing yet. But no, I see, like, and you're just like really in your zone, and you're really like, you look good. And that's what it's all about. And I think your song, the fact that the way you titled your song, and the push that brought you to do it, I think it's going to carry over very well for you. It's going to really give you that chizuk and give you that inspiration to keep going forward, doing it, and just not looking back.
Exactly. That's the plan.
Do you play any instruments other than, I mean singing, obviously, voices?
It's Ari. I took piano lessons at a very young age. 3 months in, we were still playing the CCC song.
Oh.
My mom, I'm like, I'm out. This is this is not moving quickly enough. So I do have a piano in my house. I always say I want to teach myself how to play. What I mean by teach myself is obviously through the internet. You can just get anything you want over the internet.
Right.
But I've dabbled in piano and I've dabbled in guitar, but I don't play to any sort of professional level.
That's okay. You sing pretty well, so it's all good.
Yeah, that I try. Exactly. I tried to take my voice to the next level. I do very serious vocal lessons. That's something I've definitely been working hard on for the last almost 2 years now. I'm also a chazan for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. I come into the States. I've been davening in New York for the last almost 5 years now, so I kind of had to get my voice to the next level.
So you are involved in this world. You're not totally. This isn't totally like you decided to come out and do. You are involved in this world. You do chazanas. You do things like that. That's good. That's really cool. Have you ever thought about recording an album of chazanas? Or
it's something I like to do on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur on Shabbos, but
right.
An album, I don't think I would do an album for chazanas because it's not necessarily my drive.
Nice. So what else are you working on? What other things, like, now that you have this single, like, what other things are you working on? Because it seems like your mentality of it is like, just hit the ground running and don't look back, which is awesome. But what other projects are you working on now? I noticed when I was trying to find you on the internet, I was trying to find you on YouTube, I saw that you have another video up there. It's about the DFFL.
Yeah.
What is that? I mean, watch the video. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But what is the DFFL?
So DFFL, as you know, I live in Israel. I live in Yerushalayim, and organized sports is not something that we have available so much for our boys over here. So
that is true.
I kind of decided, I'm gonna create this league of organized sports I decided on flag football because I actually play flag football in the American Flag Football League, and the FFL stands for Duvie's Flag Football League. It's a league I have for boys ages 7 to 11, and it's awesome. The boys love it, the parents love it, and that's one of the projects that I have. Yeah, it's another project where I get to work with kids because it's working with kids is something that I seem to gravitate towards. It works. The kids like it. I like it. I don't know. There's good vibes there as well. So that's what that is. It's my little flag football league.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that. It seems like you do good work, and it's true. In Israel, there's no like organized sport. It's not like a thing. In America, like you have they have leagues. We have hockey, we have basketball, we have all these types of things. But here, it's not such a thing. And I noticed that around Beit Shemesh, like these kids are just running wild. People are like after school.
Parents are coming to me asking me to start bringing it over to Beit Shemesh. So that's hopefully the next location.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, there's plenty of space to do that here. And I think it'd definitely be really good for kids out here because there's really nothing that does it. I mean, my neighbor actually he does like a soccer chug after school for people, but like it's not.
I make sure to tell the parents that it's not a chug. A chug is where you come and play and you leave. This is where it's a proper league. There's teams. There's playoffs. There's going to be a championship game. There's jerseys. It's an organized league. A chug is something we all have, and it's very available. But I wanted Davka the organized aspect to the sport. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Very cool, very, very cool. So what other songs what other type of music do you plan on putting out? Like I know this was your first single, but I'm sure you have a number of different other things and ideas in the back burner. You have anything to share with us?
Not at the moment. Yesterday was just it's the first day after I just released my single, but I already spoke with Yitzi, Barry, and Ali Klein, who helped me record the vocals. Those guys are also big guys in the industry. I already sat down with them about the next ideas for. I have a couple of ideas that I'm juggling. The question is which one I'm gonna pursue.
Nice.
I don't like to just throw out singles and I like to really give it thought. Think about the message that I want to give. Think about the style how I want to give it over in terms of the sound of the song. So I'm gonna sit on that for a couple of a week or two, whatever it is, and then start moving forward with it.
That's really cool. So now we're gonna take a quick moment to hear a word from our sponsors.
We've come to the time of year again. It's the 2019 Ura auction with prizes much bigger than before. Just you wait, see what we have in store. 12 tickets to Israel, a big fat check, and the shade-dome jewels to put on your neck. Pay your rent, get a car, let us clear your deck. Go relax and win some weekly cash. We'll cover your tuition bill and maybe give you a new van. We'll send you on a trip nearby or to the Holy Land. Shop online or in New York, you'll get a great big shopping spree. Or $50,000 you can take home instantly. It's easy to enter, just call us or go online. Just make sure you do it before you run out of time. More than $600,000 in prizes, only $5 a prize. Enter now at uraauction.org or call 1-877-7-AUCTION.
And we're back from our commercial break.
No, for sure. It's funny. We have this debate every single week with each different artist that comes on the show. What do you prefer, a single or an album? And everybody has their own. Everyone has their own answer. Everyone has their own opinion. So I'm gonna throw the question out to you. What do you think? Singles or albums? What's your ideal?
I'm definitely a believer in the album, 100%. But there's definitely a place to start, which I believe is the single. Some people would say it's a cover even, but I kind of really wanted to have my own single. But albums are expensive, my man. These things are not cheap. Albums cost a lot of money, so you got to start with a single, build an audience, get people to start recognizing your name. To release an album, spend all that money on it, and not have an audience waiting for it is a little bit,
Right.
I want to say silly, but it's not from a business aspect. It doesn't really seem the right move to do. You put out a single, then maybe you put out a cover, or you put out another single, and you start building a following, and then you start going for the album and start showing your different aspects of singing.
Because it's different in the Jewish industry. It's different, meaning like you guys aren't making, most of you guys aren't doing this full time, and also in the Jewish industry, you're paying to get your album produced. In the other world, it's the opposite. They're paying, they're laying out for you, and in hopes that there'll be returns on the album. So it's harder for in our world to go out there and put out album after album or EP or anything like that. So single is really the best way to go. I personally am also a fan of the albums. I find that albums tell a story. That each track on an album is another chapter in the story, and it really shows about the artist's true personality, and it really brings out more to the artist than what a single can accomplish.
Absolutely.
Granted, like singles are great for building your brand. I'm in marketing. I understand this. I'm all about it. But like a single, like it's only like so quick and so much, and then like you lose your focus and you forget. But with an album, it really brings out the entirety of the artist and tells a whole nother story. So
100%.
Yeah, it's good stuff, And is your song available for purchase, or it's just a video? Like, I mean, how?
So my song right now, I believe, is on Megan Music and Mostly Music. It should be up any day on all the other mainstream, like Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, all these other streaming sites. It takes a few days to get it uploaded over there.
Right.
But I will send out links on the video and through social media, whatever it is, so that once it's available, everyone will get to see it. So yeah, that's the next step. And now I'm just looking for starting to. I actually have a meeting with a band leader or what have you, a guy who does weddings here in Israel. He just reached out right after you, actually. He said he wants to sit down with me right away, start discussing working together.
That's
so I'm
great.
trying to add to the traction. Start getting some gigs, some weddings.
That's great. Kanai Nahara, man. Do you ever see yourself in the future doing collaborating with your brother on anything? Like, have you guys ever talked about that?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, we're brothers. We got, similar styles. We have very similar inspirations. We grew up in the same cars, in the same room. So that's something we would definitely consider in the future, when the time's right. Mordechai is super busy, as you know.
He was just here.
Yeah, and it took you, he's a busy guy. I know that. Even as a brother, I know that. Meaning, even for a brother, I'm saying.
Right.
That was clear. But I'm just saying, he's very busy. He's working on his third album, which, that's over his life right now. And he's between that and gigs, and so he's a busy guy. He's got a lot going on.
But it's true. You guys do have a very similar style. Like, I noticed, like, the way you sing and the way he sings, and just the way you guys move in your videos. You share a lot of similarities. And I think that's really cool. Your voice is a bit different, though. Your pitch is a little bit lower than his, but it's still very cool how you guys really, like, you can tell that you guys are brothers.
Right. Absolutely. When I was talking to some of these Miriam on the phone or Ari, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm talking to Morty." The mannerisms. And I'm like, yeah, I get that a lot, but it's Duvie.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I could totally see something like that, like you guys doing some kind of collaboration together. I mean, that'd actually be really fun. And then you could have your dance off. And then you could have your dance off.
Yeah.
Do you break dance?
I don't break dance, but I like to move. I've been dancing again at any party, at any bar mitzvah, wedding. I generally tend to be the center of it.
Nice.
And it's something I like to do. I know I like to move. I like to move to the music, and I would love to showcase it. Eventually, somewhere down the line.
Nice. So, what's one of your favorite memories, or what's one of your favorite things that you can recall in the music business? Whether it's when you started with Miami, or now, like what's one of the most memorable experiences you've had doing this?
If you want to go, I mean, that's a good question. Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely in Miami. I remember doing we did a tour of the U.S. The concert in L.A. was absolutely insane. Like I was not ready for that. It was just mind blowing when you walk out from backstage after the concert and you're just like, whoa. Yeah, I'm this little 12-year-old kid, and you just don't understand what's going on. That was like my first taste of this Jewish music stuff. So that was very cool. And the concerts in Israel, when for stand up for that back then also, when Yochanan brought us out to Israel, we did a concert with Avram Fried outdoors, and that was also an insane concert. Very cool experience. Mamish remember it. And just then there's just been a bunch of experiences down the road that nothing generally sticks out, but I would say the most memorable is now coming up with my new single, right?
That's exciting. It really is exciting to see all like people coming up in the music world, and when you're talented and you're actually and you put in the work and you know what you're doing and you know what you want, you'll be very successful. You'll be very matzliach, because people always are looking for new music. People are always looking for a new sound. And I like about your sound is it's not like this new style like people are going more electronic. It's normal. It's nice, easy listening, and it puts you in a good mood. That's the kind of music I personally like. I like when you listen to something, it puts you in a good mood. It gives you a geschmack. It makes you feel, it lifts you up, and it inspires you. I like the electronic music. It's puts you in a different space. I happen to be a musician myself. I play drums, guitar, keyboard, saxophone. I used to write music, not into it anymore. I'm a very creative person, so I can feel these things out. And like when you're listening to something, it really affects your mood. That's why I like your music. I like that kind of stuff where it brings you up. What's your take on all this new music, this new style, like loud keyboards, electronic music? Like what's your take on it?
So yeah, I worked, again, part of this process of coming up to the single was I worked with the two arrangers, and the sounds that they were coming up with, I just said, this is not EDM. It's not me. It's not my sound.
Nah.
I need a more contemporary, but I don't know. I don't even know what genre, how to categorize it, but Daniel Kapler, the guy that helped Jan and Daniel, the guys that did the arrangement on this.
Jan is great. We had him on the show too.
These guys are amazing at what they do, and they really get the sound that you are going for.
Yeah.
Of not too electronic, not too EDM, getting good sounds, good instruments in there, and giving over that vibe. They get it. So kind of like I love instruments. I love a real sound, but at the same time with a good pop to it. We all know pop is very popular, as we all know. So I'm trying to find that fine balance in between it.
Nice.
That's my I'm trying to go after.
Well, I think
it's also interesting here in Israel because I do believe the markets are different in Israel and America. I think everyone would agree with that.
Yes.
I've been told many times when I was pursuing this, you're an American trying to make it in Israel. It's pretty much never been done before. To a certain degree, Ari's.
Yeah, I was about to say Ari's pretty. He's pretty successful.
Definitely pretty successful, and you have like a guy like Ohad, who's definitely made a name for himself.
Yeah.
But
it's funny. Like Gad Elbaz, he before he became like big in the States, he was pretty big over here. He was like I think he was a wedding singer here before he booked to America.
Right. And then, but whatever I'm trying to say is I people have been trying to, I want to say talk me out of it. Just kind of give me a fair warning that it's going to be a grind.
Yeah.
But I believe that the amount of Americans that are living in Israel now is different than what it was 10, 15 years ago.
100%.
The amount of chutznikim making simchas here in Israel is not what it was 10, 15 years ago.
100%.
It's becoming much more popular.
Yeah.
Anglos living here, Europeans living here. It's just Israel is not what it was 10, 15 years ago, where I believe the market.
Right. It was a very standard, like in Israel, like you know this, especially in Yerushalayim, there's a minute Yerushalayim you get one instrument and singers for a chasana. And that's what the standard Yerushalmi wedding is. And so most of the time they got drums and a choir. Now you have these Americans who come here and will make simchas, and they don't care. They'll do it American style. I was at a wedding once at the Citadel, and that was a full on American style wedding, full band, full orchestra, whole thing. And you're right, the style is changing here in Israel,
and I believe they want to have an American style singer there as well. You know, someone who can relate to them and understand what they want and understand the sound that they want. That's kind of the market I would hopefully be catering to. Are these Americans, lots of Anglos? There's huge cities of Anglos here in Israel now, and you know.
Yeah. I know. I happen to live in one. I used to make a joke about coming to Beit Shemesh. I said, "Don't forget to take your passport."
Great.
Yeah. Now I live here. What are you gonna do? But it's okay. No, it's true. And you know what? If you can get in the market, get in now with these people who want that, then you're doing a good thing. And it's true. Israel has definitely changed and evolved from the guy with the keyboard playing. I found that very interesting, like in Yerushalayim, where they'd have like one instrument in a choir, and most of the time would be drums. And I just never liked that, because like the drums like are so loud compared to everything else.
It's a tough sound. I was at a wedding once also with like that head lead singer, and then you have that guy doing the bass with his. It's
What was he doing?
You have a guy doing like the bass lines in the back,
right?
His mouth, and I'm like, oh, yeah. It
wasn't like, no.
I actually did. I got married here in Israel as well, but I made sure to get married out of Yerushalayim so I could have that full band. I had, Menachem Herman at my wedding, and he was.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, when you're talking about Americans who are doing all right over here with the music, Menachem's he's pretty big. I was at a wedding in Bnei Brak. He did my friend's wedding, and it was just a trip. It was exciting. It was fun. It was like, it was everything you'd expect and more.
Yeah, he's got good energy. So, like I said, I did it Dafka in Beit Shemesh. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, cool, man. And it was serious. It was a pleasure having you on the show. I got to learn a lot about you. And like I said, you're doing your thing, your brother's doing his thing, and Baruch Hashem, if you can keep doing it, if you can make this a career and become a musician here and do your thing, even like doing weddings here, like making that your thing, it's definitely a big milo, because everyone in Israel is always looking for something.
Wrong. I also would love and plan on doing plenty of weddings in the American market. That's a market I would also do, which I hope to pursue in the near future.
No, for sure. It's always good to take what you're good at, take the skills that you're good at, and run with it as much as you can. Don't limit yourself. And it's true, right? Exactly. If this is what you love doing, and this is what brings you geschmack, then run with it, go with it, and you'll see tremendous success from it. And I look forward to hearing more of your music, because I really like this song. Like, I don't say that about everybody, but I really like this song, and I was listening to it like 5-6 times yesterday, and it really just put me in a mood. And everybody in my office was like, "Wow, you're in a really good mood today. You're more than usual." I was like, "Well," so I was listening.
That's what I was getting all these different short videos to my WhatsApp of different offices. Duvie, their office rocking out to the song. It was pretty funny. I got a kick out of it.
Well, that must make you feel good. That now you're doing something right. Now you're doing your job right.
Exactly. Like I said, I also got a very personal message. I posted it to my Instagram because I thought it was important to share. This other guy who said, "Your song really inspired me. I'm in a little bit of a rut, and I want to make a career change. A very similar story, and I just never had I was never willing or able to go. And your song really inspired me to just make that decision to just go for it. And so I thought it was, wow, it's really incredible.
This is why I like Jewish music. This is one of the many reasons I like Jewish music, because this is not the first time I've had somebody on my show tell me the story, like that someone was listening. When I had Eli Levin on the show a couple weeks ago, he told me the same, like similar story. Miriam told me also a very similar story. Like, people like listen to your music, and it penetrates you so deep that it really gives you that push. It really gives you a chizuk. And you don't get that with secular music. You don't get that with these other things. And I think you guys are in a very special world, a special business, and a very special position that you're able to be mashpia on people, lav davka. whether you know it or you don't. And then when you get these emails and you get these messages that tell you that of people saying, your music really inspired me to do this, or your music really pushed me to.
Makes it all worth it. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Absolutely.
you're in a very you're in the business of giving chizuk, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, Bezrat Hashem. It should. That's what I hope. That's what I. You gotta put your heart and soul into it. That's the most important thing. Is
Right.
When I was recording the lyrics, I gave everything I had. To make sure that I was singing from my heart, and that was it. It seems like it came out, so I'm happy I was able to accomplish that.
No, for sure. Listen, it shows. It really shows when someone's putting their full koach into it. It really, really shows, and that's when you feel like it penetrates you it penetrates your neshama, and it penetrates you, and you really you connect with it. Like, I've listened to tons and tons of music over the years, tons of Jewish music, and some stuff you feel it, some stuff you don't. But like, when you can tell when the person's really putting their full koach into it, and it's amazing.
Right. Exactly.
Wow, Duvie, man, you're really good at this chizik thing, and I wish you tremendous hatzlacha. It was a pleasure having you on the show today. It's a rarity.
Inviting me.
For sure.
Like I said, the single was just released yesterday, and here we are. Great.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
It's fun because it's a rarity that we actually do the show on the same day that we air it. So this is a treat. And I really appreciate you coming down. Well, you didn't really come down. I'm actually coming down to you in a couple hours. I'm going to be in Yerushalayim in a few hours. But, it's all good. But again, Duvie, pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to have you. I heard so much about you from before. Now I get to talk to you in person, over the phone. And I wish you tremendous hatzlacha. And you should continue to do your thing and bring us great music and bring us great dance moves. And Amen. I only want to hear good things coming out of this in the future. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Let's be in touch.
You've just listened to another wonderful episode of GoSimcha the podcast. For more news, updates, and information on our next episode, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram at GoSimcha Live, and don't forget to check out the show notes and videos on www.gosimcha.com along with zeradio.com. Thanks for listening, and remember, Go Simcha! Welcome to GoSimcha, the podcast that takes you on an in-depth approach to the Jewish music, entertainment, and simcha world. Now, here's your host, Zeesha Littman. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of GoSimcha, the podcast. We had so much fun recording the episode, but it couldn't have been done without the help of our sponsor, Keren Simchas Chassan V'Kalas. We're going to take a minute to hear a little bit more about them. The following episode of GoSimcha, the podcast, is proudly sponsored by Keren Simchas Chassan V'Kala. Keren Simchas Chassan V'Kala was founded over 25 years ago and is based in Brooklyn, New York. KSCVK helps widows, orphans, and people who are in dire need of marrying off a child. Working through their network of vendors, KSCVK ensures that every wedding is just as special as the next. Run by world-renowned party planner Devorah Benjamin, KSCVK takes care that each wedding is as elegant as the next one, ensuring dignity and class through every wedding that they put on. To donate to KSCVK, please visit their website, kscvk.org, today. That's kscvk.org, and help make someone's wedding special. Hey everybody, welcome to another awesome episode of GoSimcha, the podcast. This is episode 3, and we're sitting down with a legend in the Jewish music world. I mean, this guy has been making music and making albums longer than I've been alive, and that's pretty nuts. And so we have the honor and the pleasure to sit down with Lenny Solomon of Shlock Rock today on GoSimcha, the podcast, and we're going to learn all about Shlock Rock and how it's progressed over the years. So Lenny, welcome to the show. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you. It happens to be we're also on the same time zone here. You are local, about maybe 10 minutes away from me. But welcome to GoSimcha, the podcast, Lenny. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. I have been a fan of yours since I was like a baby. Like after we spoke that day, and we talked about doing the interview, I called my mother and I said, "You'll never guess who I'm having on the show." And she's like, "Who are you having on the show?" I'm like, "I'm having Shlock Rock on the show." She's like, "Wow." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "We were playing those songs for you in the car." I was like, "Yeah, I know." So Lenny, tell us a little bit about Shlock Rock. How did it all begin? Like, I mean, you've been making music I'm 28 years old, and you've been making music longer than I've been alive. So what's the deal with Shlock Rock? What's the story behind Lenny Solomon and Shlock Rock?
So the first thing is that everybody should know that Shlock Rock was not a planned career. Shlock Rock was one of those moments in time where God said, "This is what you're going to do," and then I did it. And how did it happen? So first thing is you have to go back to 1981. In 1981, I'm 20 years old, and I start playing Shabbatons, that's weekends, conventions, for NCSY, which is the Orthodox Youth Group, like USY, like NIFTY,
right,
which is Reform, Conservative and Reform. So I was playing weekend conventions for NCSY starting in September 81. And I would watch as the advisors and the regional directors would get up on chairs and they would sing song parodies to keep the kids interested in the Shabbat, to keep the kids interested in the weekend, because, you know, a lot of the kids there had never experienced the Shabbat.
Totally.
They didn't know what it was about. And I thought to myself, you know, I can do that. And so I started writing my own. And fast forward to 1985 when I went into the studio, and I had around 15 parodies, 12 parodies actually, and I decided I was going to put out an album. So I went to this music, what's it called, this recording studio in Manhattan called 39th Street Music, which is a place that Ashford and Simpson recorded, where Shaka Khan recorded, lots of different.
How'd you manage that? How'd you manage to sneak in there?
Well, first thing is I went to them and I said, you know, we're recording an album. It's a Jewish rock album. And they said it's $180 an hour. And I said, well, I don't have that type of money. And they said, well, you can work from midnight to 8 a.m. and we'll charge you $60 an hour, and we'll give you an engineer, an assistant engineer, and a slave. And I said to them, well, what does a slave do? Slave goes out for coffee at 4 in the morning.
Wow.
You send the slave out for coffee at 4 in the morning.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, well, we took it. And for 2 weeks straight, we worked on this album called Schlock Rock Learning is Good. And the idea was it would be a comedy album, because you see, there were lots of parody artists before me. There was Country Yossi and the Stiebelhoppers. There was the Rechnitzer Rejects. In the secular world, there was Weird Al Yankovic, Alan Sherman, Tom Lehrer, Mickey Katz. So I, knew all that stuff. I loved that stuff. I also loved regular rock music like Billy Joel and 70s and 80s stuff, and of course the Beatles. And then I loved Jewish music too. I grew up on Jewish music, Ruach and the Asper Yeshiva Band and all that stuff. So here I am. I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a comedy cassette, because there was no records.
Right.
Records had gone out and CDs had not yet come in, and so you were making cassettes.
Oh, so this was a tape? This was the first
Tape.
album, the first
Released tape in January 1986 called Schlock Rock Learning is Good. How did I come up with the name Schlock Rock? Very simple. Schlock in Yiddish means second hand or used. So here we have music, we have rock and roll. It's used music, it's second hand music, and then I've written new words.
That's great.
So you've got second hand music, Schlock Rock. That's how I came up with it. Now, people either loved the name or hated the name. I mean, I had people come up to me, change the name, or if you knew what Schlock really meant, you never would have called this group Schlock Rock, And
Right.
the great thing about the name, and for anybody that's starting a band, the great thing about the name was that you either loved it or you hated it, but you weren't parif. There was never like, I couldn't care less. Because you see, as long as they're talking about you, it's a very good thing.
For sure. It's all part of it.
Yeah, so we put out this thing, and
It
didn't really do so much in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, 3 months into the release, I get this letter, and the letter says, "Dear Lenny, my brother, who hates everything about Judaism, is listening to your cassette around the clock. Keep up the good work."
Wow.
And it was only at that point that I thought, maybe that's what this is about, because I didn't expect to do another one. So then I got another letter like that. And then I got a negative letter. And the negative letter was, "Dear Lenny, I don't want to be chutzpahdik, but if the Abarbanel knew what you did to his song, he'd be rolling in his grave." But they didn't sign it. They just signed their initials. So I had this dichotomy where I had people say, "Greatest thing ever," and other people said, "How could you do this?" And especially in the beginning,
Right.
we were very controversial among the rabbis. The rabbis would say, "What is this? What are you doing? This is an abomination in the name of the Torah." And I looked at them and I said, "It's not. It's really good. It's really good." Now, it took them a while to like it, the rabbis, but it took them like 3-4 years. But they eventually got it. They eventually understood that it was here to make people feel good about their roots, to teach Torah on an informal Jewish basis. People would be learning without knowing they're learning. And is there anything better than that?
No. Not at all.
Exactly. When you're getting information and you don't even you're not even trying, it just comes to you. It's the most so that was the beginning of the history of Schlock Rock. Is that's how we started. And then I started working on the second album in the summer, and I released an album called Purim Torah. And Purim Torah had on it Achashverosh and Wash This Way and Under the Chuppah.
Yeah. These are all songs that I grew up on, man. These are all these songs. When I was going through the discography you sent me, these are all songs I grew up on. And I'm it's like, wow, this stuff is older than me, but everyone's listening to it. Everyone's into it. And it's just awesome stuff. I remember that album.
Yes, it's true. Most English speakers, whether you were born in America or you were born in Australia or in South Africa or Canada or England, you grew up on me. You did. That was the other thing. I started touring, but I'll get to that in a minute. So so in '87 we put out this album Purim Torah. Now in September '87 I get a call for a concert. Now I was playing with a band called Kesher. Kesher, which in English means connection.
Right.
Kesher was a Hasidic contemporary rock band, which I wrote, 13 of the 28 songs on the 3 albums. I really loved it. And I left that band. So when I got this call in '87, I said, they said, we'd like a concert. I said, oh, you want a Kesher concert? They said, no, we want a Schlock Rock concert. And it was only at that time that I said, but of course you want a Schlock Rock concert. And I put together the band. That was when I started putting together the band. And the first show that we ever did as a band was in December 1987. We did 2 shows, a show in Bayonne, New Jersey, and a show in Smithtown, Long Island, for a USY weekend. And
Wow.
the first Schlock Rock concerts that I ever gave was solo shows in Montreal and in Toronto in September of 1987. So
What,
that
was just you with the keyboard?
Yeah, just me with a keyboard. And I think in Toronto I had a drummer from Toronto back me up. Anyway, so that was the start of it. And from 88 to 96, I did 100 concerts a year.
Wow.
And in 96, in July 96, I made Aliyah. So that, and then we started doing tours. I started doing tours. So we did around 40 to 70 concerts a year from 97. But here's the key. When I talk to you about a God picked this career for me, most people, when they go into business, they say, okay, we have to have a business plan. Which market are we going for? What crowd? What's our demographics? Who's going to like this? I didn't do anything. The phone rang off the hook. It was crazy. The phone just rang off the hook, and I went and I took my cassettes and I traveled from city to city to city performing, and we are the only Jewish rock and roll band to have played all 50 states. I've played Australia 8 times, South Africa 9 times, England dozens of times, Canada, every city where there were Jews except for Winnipeg, which I just haven't gotten to. I don't know why. Mexico City, and of course Israel, where we ended up moving to.
Yeah, I used to see you in the Beit Shemesh concert. That was always part of my favorite part of Sukkot was coming out before I moved to Beit Shemesh, was coming out here for the concert and seeing you guys up there playing and all those other bands up there playing, and it just always put a smile on my face. It was always like so much fun.
It is, and we're still doing it. We're still playing those Sukkot shows. It's very nice. It's very nice. And, it's been an unbelievable career. It's been a career that I never would have expected. And now we're up to 39 albums. I'm in the middle of, I'm recording my 38th and 39th album. The 38th album is a parody album, and the 39th album is a Hebrew album, original music.
Wow.
So I got to tell you another funny story. Do you have time for a funny story?
We got plenty of time. We're here for another 45 minutes. We're here with you. This is awesome.
So here's what happens. Now, believe it or not, I was working as an accountant. That was my day job, 1982 to 1985. I graduated from Queens College in 82, and I went immediately into accounting. That was my career. Now, my dad had told me to become a full-time musician. But I said, Dad, how am I going to make a living? So I never, I didn't listen to him. So I majored in accounting. He wanted me to get a master's in music at Juilliard and go into music full time. I instead went to Queens College. I majored in accounting and I minored in music. Took a lot of courses in music, but I didn't major in it. Anyway, so so the story that I wanted to tell you is this. So now in 85, so after flunking the CPA exam 3 times, my boss comes to me and says, you're never going to be a great accountant and you're never going to be a great musician unless you pick one of them. You're sitting on the fence, So you're sitting on the fence. So I said, okay, I picked music. And I figured, and I gave him 6 months notice because he was a great boss. It took him 9 months to train me as an accountant. I was working as doing write-ups in Irish pubs in Manhattan. It was really interesting stuff. I enjoyed it. Music and math are synonymous. They're on the same level. According to the Mesilat Yesharim, the Ramchal Sefer, The Path of the Just, he equates music with math. So I was very good at numbers, and I'm, thank God, very good with music as well. So anyway, so I give him 6 months notice, and I take a job in September of 85 as the music director of the Jewish Public School Youth Organization. Now that organization had 40 Hebrew clubs in different public schools in New York and Long Island, And I was the music director, so I would go in there and I would play music. They would be expecting Hava Nagila, and I played I would play Born in the USA, Making Aliyah Today. Now, I'm starting to work on an album that they commissioned me to make, which is called Jewish Pride. And while I'm working on that album, I get a cassette from a boy in Memphis, Tennessee named Victor Shine. He wrote a song called Minion Man, and he sent it to me on cassette. So here I am. I listen to the song, and I think, you know what? This is a good song. It deserves to go on the album. So I rearranged it, orchestrated it, hired Gershon Veroba to sing lead on this album called Jewish Pride that came out a month apart from Purim Torah. And we recorded Minion Man, and it became a humongous hit.
This is really one of your big hits.
Yes, it's transcended schlock rock. People don't even know that it's schlock rock anymore. They know Minion Man. They don't necessarily know that it's schlock rock. It's so big. And of course, we did a remake with the Maccabees in March 2015, which has gotten almost 1 million views on their YouTube channel, which is really, really nice.
So Minion Man wasn't really originally your song. You're saying that Minion Man, the song that became like one of your biggest hits, wasn't really originally written by you.
Correct. I didn't. That's the irony. I didn't write it, but I did adjust it a little bit. I orchestrated it. I arranged it. I just didn't write it. It was written by Victor Shine. Victor Shine now lives in Brooklyn. He's a really good guy. We're in close contact, and
does he still write music?
I don't know if he does or doesn't. I think he might have 1 or 2 songs but he's in another business. But it could be he's got another 1 or 2 songs up his sleeve. You know, it would be worth it to ask him that. You know,
that's so cool. The guy behind Minion Man.
But his Minion Man has gone everywhere. I mean, it's gone everywhere.
That's so cool. Wow. That's really cool. I mean, again, your music really transcends like every generation. Like people know about it like everywhere and anywhere. And it's just funny. Like I said, I was looking through the discography you sent me, and I'm just like, wow, all these songs. I know every single one of them. And it's really funny and really bizarre, but it's just amazing. My question is, when it came to all this stuff, like when you're in the middle of recording, like you've done like 38 albums. What was your favorite album to put out there? Like what was your favorite album to put out there, and what was like one of the best songs you ever recorded in your opinion?
Okay, so that's such an interesting question. People always ask me, "What's your favorite song?"
Right.
And the answer is, I don't have a favorite song. I like them all. I mean, okay, there's some I like less, some I like more.
Okay.
But let me tell you right now, I'm working on this album called Shira Yetera. What is Shira Yetera? Now, I don't know if people are familiar with this concept, but before Shabbat, there is a midrash. There is a legend, or not a legend, like a fable kind of, that says that we receive an extra soul, an neshama Yetera, before we go into Shabbat. So we get an extra soul for Shabbat. So I came up with this theory that we get an extra song before Shabbat. So I took 17 weeks, and 30 minutes before Shabbat started, I wrote whatever came into my head. Wow. I then picked 12 songs from it, and I'm in the middle of recording it. And I think it's the greatest album I've ever made. Why am I telling you this? Because every album that I make, I think is better than anything I've ever done. So that's the first thing you should know.
That's funny.
Now, you know, because you remember how we always hear like Billy Joel when we say, "Oh, I love his early stuff," or we hear Bruce Springsteen, "Well, he sold out at Born in the USA," you know, right. But everything before that was amazing. Born to Run and whatever he did, Blinded by the Light, which is an original Bruce. So, you know, but it's not true. The artist doesn't look at it like that. The artist thinks that every song, every time they're going into the studio, it's to go one level higher than where they were. And I actually think that. So there are some songs that I'm amazingly proud of in terms of parodies, when I write a parody. So for instance, if you go to the Schlock Rock Meets the Prophets album and you listen to David Went Up to Goliath, I mean, I just think that's just a masterpiece. Schlock Rock Almost on Broadway, and you hear Gabbai of the Shul. I think that's a masterpiece. You know, like I think that there are certain ones.
That's a funny one. That's actually a funny song.
Well, I think every song has got something to it. I mean, I look at a parody as a craft. When I write original music, that's what you're channeling. You're channeling from a pipeline of creativity that comes down from Shemayim, that comes down from heaven, and that's how I write.
That's very cool.
You can't write without you're getting inspired, and then you get this creative juices, and you go to the piano and you write. And so I'll tell you, one of my great writing experiences was I put out an album in 2009 called Schlock Rock No Limits. It's 12 original songs, of which there are 6 YouTube videos, really good YouTube videos. Out of the 12 songs, I made 6 songs of them YouTube videos.
Nice.
And I wrote the 12 songs in 4 days in a fit of inspiration. I mean, it was like I was on another planet.
That's really cool. I mean, I can totally relate to that. I'm actually a musician myself, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast is because I'm very into music, and I play guitar, drum, saxophone, keyboard, and other woodwind instruments. And I know what you mean. I can totally relate to you on that one, because once you're involved in it, once you like pick up like a guitar, like for me, when I pick up my guitar and I just start jamming, like it just start playing, like you're in a totally different world. You're in like Vegas, and it's just awesome. And then when you start writing, and I actually know how to write music as well. When you start writing and you start getting into it, it's like one of the greatest feelings, the most enjoyable things in the entire world. Like I totally get you. I totally get you 100%.
So yes, and I have done that a number of times. So like I once wrote 11 songs in 6 days. I wrote an entire rock opera that I'm attempting to make a Hollywood movie. I have a movie that I've written, a musical called Daniel in Babylon. It's a musical on the book of Daniel.
So that was my next question for you about that. I was actually going to ask you about that. What's up with Daniel in Babylon? I was looking at the website you sent me. I was looking at the website. I was looking at it's really cool.
So it's ready to go. We just need the investor. We're ready to go. Just need the money. The budget is $7.2 million. It's not a lot of money for a Hollywood independent film. It's going to make a lot of money, I think. Believe Bezrat Hashem, believe Ayin Hara. And we just need that investor that shares the vision. So we're looking right now. But the point is that I wrote that entire project in 6 to 8 weeks. The music flowed. It came down like water from heaven.
Wow.
I received it. I always say I received the songs.
Wow.
I know it's very spiritual, but my career is a very spiritual career, as is all musicians.
Sure.
So when so getting back to your original question, which is, which is your favorite? What's your favorite album? I don't have a favorite album. I like, I could listen to an album and I go, wow, that's really, really good. Now that came out in 1993. And I'll listen to another one that came out in 2008. Yeah, I love the sound of that one. Wow, that's good. Listen to those harmonies. So I don't know.
Do you feel like over the years, like start from the 80s till now, do you feel like your sound has changed? Do you feel like the quality of your songs has changed, or anything has changed, or it's still like the same Tom, same flavor of schlock rock, but just different years?
No,
I
think you always change, You always change. I mean, there are times when you'll write a song and you'll think, oh, it sounds like something I wrote 20 years ago. But most of the time, I think that everybody evolves.
Right.
Remember also that we're dealing now with a very high level of technology when you go into the studio. In the old days, the editing, it was much different.
Right. Now it's so much easier.
Yeah, reel-to-reel tapes. Now it's Pro Tools. You only have to get close to the note. Then they use auto-tune, pitch correct, Melodyne, all these things. The singer doesn't even have to hit the note. Luckily, I'm not one of those people. I hit notes.
What's your opinion on all those things? What's your opinion on auto-tune and like all those other things? Because like nowadays, a lot of music is all it's all electronically engineered, but it's all. You hear a lot of these singers now are into like the techno and like the auto-tune and all that stuff. Like, what's your opinion on that as being someone who's been writing music and producing music since the early 80s?
I think all technology is great, and it's a tremendous thing. I do. I think that, everything, medical technology, musical technology, it's whatever it is, technology. It means that you're doing something faster and more efficient than ever.
Well, there you
I
go.
know there are purists that will say you can't hit the note, and you want us to change it so it goes on key. And unfortunately, you have to do what you have to do. The engineer does what he has to do, right?
No, for sure, 100%. Listen,
but I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't offend me, as long as you make a good song. I mean, really, at the end of the day, is the song good? Is the groove good? Are the chords good? Is the harmonies good? Is the mix good?
right?
That's
No, for sure. For sure. It's just funny. Like, a lot of people have been comparing you to like the Jewish Weird Al. For a long time, I actually thought he was Jewish, and then I found he wasn't Jewish. I was like, oh, that
right.
is a
Not Jewish.
Not Jewish at all, but he could totally make a great Jew.
Well, I'll tell you something. First thing is, he's a brilliant man and a tremendous writer. Tremendous
for
writer.
Sure.
And not only his song parodies, his original music as well. But
did you ever meet him?
I have all of his albums. I listen. I haven't listened to it in a while, but I pull them out from time to time and listen to some of my favorites. I've had lunch in Los Angeles with his drummer. His drummer's name is John Schwartz, but everybody calls him Bermuda Schwartz. That's what they call him. And I like to think that I write like Weird Al. I think it's a big compliment.
That's very funny. Yeah, was he one of your inspirations to get into when you're starting to do all these parodies, when you're starting to get into this? Was he one of your inspirations? One of the main people you look to to see, how can I do this and how can I make it kosher? Like, what was going on when you thought about that?
I think more, Country Yossi and the Stiebelhoppers and the Rechnitzer Rejects. Have you ever heard of any of their music, by the way?
Country Yossi, yes. Country Yossi, when I was in camp many, many years ago when I was younger, they used to wake us up to Country Yossi every single morning. And I just wanted to smash that sound box. I wanted to smash that megaphone. But yes, I've heard of Country Yossi.
Rechnitzer Rejects is also quite good. They've got their songs. They've got a couple of, but they never toured. You see, what set me apart from them
is you toured.
Is Country Yossi did a couple of shows here and there. But I've played Birmingham, Alabama. I've played Des Moines, Iowa, Anchorage, Alaska, Columbia, South Carolina. I've played Omaha, Nebraska, and El Paso, Texas, and you name it. Albuquerque, New Mexico.
That's crazy, man.
Fargo, North Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Honolulu, Anchorage, Alaska. I've played all those cities. I've played, a ridiculous amount. I toured because, you see, I really wanted to be a Jewish rocker. That's what I wanted to be. I didn't want to be a wedding bar mitzvah player.
No.
And I didn't want to be a stay-at-home guy. I wanted to tour.
And you did it.
Yeah, I did. Thank God.
Are you still doing tours?
Yeah, well, I'm about to go in for a 3-week tour right now, August 8th to the 28th. And I've got some tours set up in October, November, December.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So, but it's not as busy as it used to be. It used to be. But that's, I think, part of it is because of age, because Shlock Rock is 33 years old.
Right.
You got your new groups out there. You got the God Elbaz and the Benny Friedman and the Simcha Liner and the all the young kids.
Right.
The ones that are your age or younger.
Right.
So you got the new generation. So it's not as busy as it used to be, but I'm still getting calls and we're still performing.
But still, it's funny though. Like, no one has really done what you've done. Like, no one goes on these tours like you've done. No one has played. Like, people these musicians that we have nowadays, these singers, these artists, they kind of stay within their dalaramas, meaning they'll stay within like the tri-state area, or they'll come to Israel for like.
No, I love traveling. I love the traveling.
Right.
I
So
love
that's what
going.
really made Schlock Rock like the
Yes,
ultimate
and
band.
that's, I think, what made us the fact that you could mention Schlock Rock to any kid who's now between the age of 30 and 50, and they will say, yes, Schlock Rock came to Camp Monroe. Schlock Rock came to Camp Missoula. Schlock Rock came to my temple. Schlock Rock came to my synagogue. Schlock Rock came to my JCC. I
Right.
mean, we've done 2,000 concerts.
That's crazy. That is so cool.
So there isn't any competition. You have to, in the old days, Safam did like 25 to 40 shows a year and traveled. Sam Glazer now has done as much traveling as I have, who lives in LA. Sam, might be coming close to his 50 states.
Oh, really? He's done all 50 states?
I have to ask him. When I see him in LA, I always, we talk. He's a great guy. I've met a lot of the Jewish musicians, and
that's so
Jewish
cool.
rock musicians. I mean, depend even conservative and reform. I once flew on a plane with Debbie Friedman, and I've also flown on a plane with Lipa and with Avram Fried, and back in the early '80s, I played with Karlbach, and
you played with Shlomo?
Yeah,
wow.
Twice. With Shlomo, a couple of times.
That's chashuv.
Yeah, I was a Shabbaton. We were at a Jewish leadership seminar, and he came as the act, and I played keyboard to back him up.
Wow.
I even sang backup on the famous album of his Shabbos with Shlomo, which debuted the Krakow Niggin. That was the first time Krakow Niggin was heard. I'm singing on it.
Wow, you were singing back. That is probably like one of his most famous albums. That is really cool. That is really cool. You've been all over the place. So what's the future hold for Schlock Rock? I know we were talking about your new project, the Four Corners Project. So tell us a little bit about the Four Corners Project, because I was looking into that. It sounds really cool, and the concept it seems to be encompassing everything that you do. You travel all over the world. You put on these shows. You carve so many people with your music, and you're using that power to really bring people closer to Judaism and to Yiddishkeit. So what exactly is that Four Corners Project, and how is it going to be, like, how powerful is it going to be, and how impactful is it going to be in the next coming years?
You're right. You're 100% right. Basically what's happened is as follows. The real question that we all have to ask ourselves, as a musician, you have to ask it, I have to ask it, is, okay, we're now in an industry where really people are not buying music anymore, right? Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, how do people get their music? They get it online on YouTube, or they'll listen to it through streaming on Spotify, Pandora, or whatever Apple Music, whatever it is.
Right.
And of course, the problem is, for a Jewish artist, you need a million to a billion streams to start seeing real money. Am I right?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So even I, right now, who I'm on iTunes, I'm on 13 of my albums, or 15 of my albums are on iTunes. So I'll see a check for $50. I mean, a bank transfer for $50 every 6 weeks. That's not a lot. So we have to ask the obvious question: how do we make new music?
Right.
And a bunch of people, a bunch of friends of mine sat me down and said, listen, the industry is disappearing. I want you to start a not-for-profit organization that will enable you to keep schlocking, that will enable you to keep creating and keep producing and keep even performing in certain instances. And so the Four Corners Project was born with the mission to reach the Jews scattered to the four corners of the world through music and media. And the website is www.cornersproject.org. And if you go on there, you'll see the entire thing. This year, I had a webisode where I released 20 episodes of a webisode called JIM, Jewish Inspirational Musical Messages. I put out 8 new parodies, which are all available for free, both on YouTube and on the website. I put out a new Hebrew song. I put out a new music video. So content. We're putting out content, and the main purpose of the content is Jewish pride, Jewish identity, Jewish awareness, Jewish continuity through music, and bottom line, Jewish education, to teach people to like their heritage. Because in this day and age, if you don't like your heritage, you leave it. And so,
No, for sure.
We have evolved to that. That's where Shlock Rock has evolved to. Now, Shlock Rock continues, but in a lot of cases, all the new music that I make are being paid for or sponsored by the Four Corners Project. And I would ask any listeners out there that grew up with Shlock Rock, go to this website, make a donation, because it's just so worthwhile. I think Shlock Rock and the music of Shlock Rock is the greatest outreach or informal Jewish educational tool in the 20th century heading into the 21st century, and it's so important.
No, I totally agree with you on that one. I took a look at the website, and it's really cool what you're doing with it. It's really cool how you've taken your music that you've been doing for decades and now putting it on this platform as a way to educate people. And how we were talking before about with any, like, you're trying, what type of demographic are you looking for, what type of people you're trying to target. The best part about your music is that you're very, how we say in Hebrew, klali, it's like you're very general. You target everybody and anybody who can be connected to Judaism, to Yiddishkeit through the sparks of music. And I think that's what I've always admired about you and your band, is that you guys have this innate ability to connect with anybody, anywhere around the world. And it's just so powerful. And the fact that you're using this tool for good, so much good is amazing. And even like your parodies, like that's the thing, like you're taking these parodies, you're taking all these like songs, these non-Jewish songs, and bringing Kedusha to them and teaching people how about Judaism. It's amazing. It's seriously amazing.
Thank you very much. It's you have to, and we're not political. You'll never see us take a political stand. We're not getting involved in politics. No left wing, no right wing. That's not what we're about. We're about music. We're about music, and we're about Judaism, and the combination of the two, and teaching.
That's what they used to say. That's what they used to say in the 70s. It's about the music, man. It's all about the music.
Right. It's true. It is about the music, because the music goes straight to the soul, and you can't. You can't. I can't stop doing it. I have to keep doing it. So the Four Corners Project is the extension of Shlock Rock. It is the way that Shlock Rock can continue in a time. Obviously, I could keep performing and just keep performing the old material. And the truth of the matter is that when I come to a place, most of the time, they say, Lenny, play the early stuff. Play the early stuff. So I do. I'm not going to, I'll play 4 or 5 new tunes that I want to play, but everything else are the hits people grew up with. A Barbanel, We've Got a Strong Desire, Yo 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 Yarmulke, My Menorah, Rashi,
So that's what I was gonna ask you. You just mentioned Yo Yo Yarmulke. You have Eitan G as your rapper. How did you guys get into Jewish rap? You guys are like the first guys to get into the Jewish rap scene. Would you say?
Very, very, yes. So what happened is that Eitan G, you talk about you were young growing up on Shlock Rock. So in 1983, 84, I came to Seaboard NCSY, which is the Baltimore, Philadelphia, Washington, and Virginia,
region.
I guess region of NCSY. And Eitan G was a kid growing up, and he grew up on us. And I saw his talent, and I said, this guy's got something. I've got to bottle it. And I brought it on stage. I brought him on stage. And he became, after my first guys kind of grew up. Because remember, I'd never grown up. But my boys, they all got day jobs. One became a dentist, one became a doctor, one became a lawyer, one went into, EMT, medical, all that stuff.
Right.
One was a stockbroker. I've been a musician since 1985, and so Eitan G has gone on the road with me a lot, and he has toured with me, and I wrote with Rabbi Joey Friedman, who's now a rabbi in Denver. We wrote Bless On It, Boogie in the Shul. Wash This Way was written by Eitan G. and Michael Retches, which I then edited. They also wrote Achashverosh together.
Nice.
And then the next song after that was Yo 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 Yarmulke. And the Yo Yo Yarmulke I wrote because basically I said, I can write this. I can write my own raps. I don't need to take a rap song that exists and parody it. And so we had Yo 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 Yarmulke, and then me and Eitan G wrote Be Good, Be Cool, Be Jewish together. And we also wrote Making a Motzi together, and so on and so forth until we had 15 or 16 of them, and we put out a rap compilation called J-Rap City. But the G, or Eitan G, would start off strictly as a rapper, and then eventually I said, no, I want you to be on stage the entire time. You'll sing harmonies, which he learned how to do, and you'll also patter back and forth with me, because it makes it fun. It makes the show fun. It makes it exciting. It gives it energy. Energy is the key to performance. You need energy. You need good energy, because if people are standing still, it's not so exciting. And this way I had Eitan G, moving around on stage. And I felt that was very helpful to the show.
He was like a hype man. He was kind of like a hype man over there, just like making getting people up out of their seats, dancing around. Totally.
Right.
That's so cool. Wow. That's really cool. So you've covered pretty much every single genre, it seems, when it comes to music. You've done Broadway, you've done rap, you've done children's songs, you've done Shabbos songs, you've done like everything. And
that's true.
You've really covered the spectrum when it comes to music, and it's really wow. So what I was going to ask you is, like, it seemed like you mentioned before you did something with the Maccabees, and it seems like now the next generation of like people doing parodies, like you got the Maccabees, you have like 613, you have all these other different groups who are out there doing parodies, trying to do what you do. How do you feel like they probably were influenced by you, that you probably gave them some tremendous hashpah, whether you knew it or not? But how do you feel about that? Do you ever speak to these guys and see what their deal is like?
Yeah, I do. It's an honor. It's an honor to be, I actually, of course, they're building on me, but I was building on other people. They're building on me. It makes sense, and it's very flattering, and they're doing what they do. They write what they write, and they perform what they perform, and it's good. It's very good. A lot of their stuff is fabulous stuff, especially they've learned how to, when they do a cappella, their drums, like they have a guy beatboxing, but they trigger it. They trigger the bass drum, and it sounds so real.
Right.
They use technology better than lots of people. And, I'm very happy that their stuff is very good. And, and they perform also. They go around the country performing a little bit. I don't know how much. And the Maccabees do a lot of performing. I don't know how much 613 does. I think they do a good deal also. But there's 613 and there's AKA Pella. Great stuff.
There's tons of them. No, it's really cool that like you have really inspired a whole new generation of singers and songwriters and artists in the Jewish world, in the Jewish community, to go out there and do what you've done and bring it out to this generation. I think it's really cool. I think it's phenomenal. So what else is in store for Shlock Rock? What else? I mean, again, you're up to like 39 albums. Like, has anybody ever done that? Has anybody ever accomplished such a feat in our world?
Well, Neil Diamond or Tony Bennett is working on like his 90th.
Wow.
In the real world, they've got like 90.
The real world. But it's like crazy, like you wrote 39. You came out with 39 albums, but what does that translate? Like when it comes to Jewish music, like you guys aren't like making millions off of this stuff, like your Jewish counterparts.
Not yet. Not yet.
But it's crazy though. There was one guy I just read in the news that this Hasidic singer, he just got signed by a real record label. And I thought I was like, that's a big breakthrough for Jewish music.
Well, it depends. We don't know what his deal is.
Right.
We don't know. A record deal is not necessarily a great thing. You should. Okay. I mean, in other words, just to all the potential musicians out there, you don't necessarily want to be signed. You know why?
Why? Because they own you.
You can make more money doing it yourself. So the real question is, what are they going to do for Shulam, and what is Shulam going to do for them? I'm not. It sounds impressive. It's an impressive thing, but you know, what I mean. How much is he going to really benefit? I mean, he might get in advance, but is he going to have a song that goes top 10, top 40, or top 100? I kind of doubt it. I mean, I'm not.
No, for sure.
Remember that Jewish music is for Jewish.
It's a specific audience.
I'm gonna extend it to Noahides.
Okay.
I'll extend it to evangelical Christians who love coming to Israel and love hearing Hebrew in the liturgical songs in the liturgical Hebrew. But
that's
mostly it's for Jewish people. Now, we have a situation where 85% of the Jewish people have not yet bought into the Torah or the 613 commandments, where they're observing it on a semi-regular or regular basis. So, how much is there in terms of saleability? Or you talk about making millions. You can't really make millions. Now, you can make money performing. You could perform at weddings and bar mitzvahs and get a fee doing that. You can, but so I know we'll have to see how this Shulam thing breaks out, how it turns out for him.
Bezrat Hashem.
It was a lot of PR. I'll tell you, it was good PR.
For sure. No, so I was wondering, because like someone like you has created 39 albums. Like, how do Jewish singers make their money? I feel like it's a really small market. So
in the old days, all of my albums made money. Now, they didn't sell more than 15,000 units per project. But remember, you're making a high quality, low budget production, and you have to be good at that. So I thank God that's one of my, you say, what do you need to be an accountant for? The answer is the accounting is the thing. I think it's one of the reasons that we're still going after 33 years, because I manage my own books. I understand that you don't spend what you don't have. You can't put $100,000 into an album. You need to do an album for anywhere between $10,000 and $25,000. You need to get it underwritten, or you need to get it. Nowadays, you need to get the whole thing sponsored. But in the old days, we would make money on an album. I mean, Sergeant Schlocker's Magical History Tour was the best-selling Schlocker production. Greatest Hits Volume 1 is a great seller. Almost on Broadway. A Shabbat in Liverpool, which is our Beatles Shabbat. Where we took 27 Beatles songs and put it to Shabbat Tfilah and Shabbat Zmirot. That did beautifully. The original music sells less because people want to hear the parodies.
I'm sure.
That doesn't stop me from writing original music because I have to, so.
No, for sure.
It doesn't stop me from recording. I think, the real fan gets past the parody and starts listening to the originals, and then they'll come to me and go, your original music is 10 times better than the parodies. And I go, well, thank you very much. But, it's all good. Whatever you like,
There you go. No, I think it's great. I mean, so you're up to 39 albums, and we're working on the Four Corners project, and God willing, hopefully you'll get David of Babylon will come out as a full-length feature film. So what else is in the works for Schlock Rock? Because you keep on schlocking. I kept saying that to myself today. I kept walking around saying, I'm going to keep on schlocking, man. So
right. So what are we doing? Well, last year we put out a song by Justin Timberlake, right? We did Can't Stop the Feeling.
I heard that.
Can't Stop the Praying. We did a song by Walk the Moon, Shut Up and Dance With Me became Judah Maccabee. Ed Sheeran became Torah Jew instead of Shape of You. I'm in love with the shape of you. So How to Be a Torah Jew. And we're doing current songs. So the only thing, Schlag Rock has to continue. The parodies will be current because the kids need it. The kids of today who haven't really heard of me. You know, they're a little bit, but they're not so much. And you say to me, why are the little kids? Why are the kids growing up hearing about you? The answer is because the world has changed, and they're not listening to it. They're listening to original, non-Jewish music, or they're going to the right. You know, they're not Jewishly. They're not listening for the parodies so much. But I'm still doing it. We're still doing that. I'm writing original music. I think I'm going to make more big productions. I love the big productions. So, of course, first we have to get Daniel and Babylon off the ground. That has to go to production. That would be fantastic. And then, we'll do more webisodes. We'll do some more music videos. I think there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do still.
Great. That's awesome. Keep on schlocking. You have any advice that you want to give? I mean, you've been around now for, again, you've been doing this for over 30 years, more. Do you have any advice you want to give to any up-and-coming artists, anybody who's trying to get in on the Jewish music scene or just trying to make a name for themselves and start in this world? You have any advice you want to give to our listeners who are potentially in this situation?
Yes, sure. The biggest advice I can give you is to perform and to perform and to keep performing and to get to the point where you can get up in front of a stage without preparation, whether you're playing to 10 people or 10,000 people, and not be nervous and be so comfortable in your own skin that it's as like you've invited 10,000 people into your living room and you're talking to them like I'm talking to you now. That's when you do 2,000 shows, that's where you get to.
Wow.
That's where you're at. Doesn't matter. You can do anything. I have gotten up in front of situations and actually made up songs on the spot and nobody knew.
Wow. That's
the comfort level. So the two things that I wanted to tell you is you have to perform. You have to keep performing. And of course, before you perform, write material. Write. Don't go out there and play everybody else's songs. Write your own music. But you have to have something to say. And I always find that when you learn, you write. Whatever you're learning, you're inspired. So if you're learning a manual on making a car, on building a car, or whatever, then you can write a song about building a car. If you're learning Judaism, then stuff will come out that is Jewish related. It's natural. So I would say the input breeds output. So whatever you're learning, keep that will help your writing, and you have to keep writing. Write new material. Go into the studio. Try to find the studio where the engineer is excellent. Don't do it yourself. My first advice is don't do it yourself. I know there were people out there that got their own home studio. I'm not for that. I'm for you use your engineer. Let the engineer know more than you. The technology. You concentrate on your craft, and then he concentrates on his. And then you put that out, and then you perform. And then you go out and you perform, and you take your stuff. And that's what I did. I mean, there are two ways to make it big. One is to have so much money that you flood the market with advertising, and everybody knows your name. And that's one way to make money, if you make money. And the other way is to pick up your suitcase of CDs or downloads or whatever it is. It's a little bit easier because you only have downloads. You don't have to bring CDs anymore.
Right.
And you go out there and you perform and you sell your product and you push it and you make friends with people and you meet people, you know.
That's great. I got one more question for you before we wrap it up here.
Okay.
Actually it's two questions. I've been wondering this for a while. What was your favorite show you ever played? And what was the largest crowd you've ever played to?
The largest crowd was the Baltimore Civic Center in Baltimore, Maryland, for the opening ceremonies of the Maccabiah games. I think it was 14,000 people.
Wow.
My favorite show was a bunch of them. I have a bunch of them. I'll tell you, one of them was Wembley, when we played the Wembley Conference Center in London. 1,500 screaming kids. That was amazing.
Wow.
I'll tell you another great show we had. 1989, 1990, January 1990, we played Pardes Chana, an army base for girls that were training to be in the army. They had been in the army for 2 weeks, and this was their night event. And we had the entire band, because I was filming a music video, and so we played in Israel Pardes Chana for screaming female soldiers. That was I felt like I was Springsteen and Billy Joel all rolled into one. From the minute we started playing till the minute we stopped, they never stopped dancing. We couldn't even speak the language back then. Couldn't even speak the language. Hebrew.
Wow.
But we just played, and they went crazy.
Wow.
It was 1990. So that was two of my really fun shows that come to mind. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can think of. Well, we did 2 shows at Queens College that were fantastic. But we, all the shows are good. All of them are good. But there's certain ones that just, they pop out at you. Playing the Venetian Room in Las Vegas, that was good.
Wow.
Yeah, that was for Chabad. Chabad.
Okay, I was gonna say, how'd you hook that one up? That makes sense.
Yeah, so
wow.
Chabad, the biggest donor to Chabad of Vegas at the time was Bob Aram, who's involved with the Venetian Hotel. He might even own it. I don't even know. And then we played that room. Yeah.
That's so cool. Wow. Well, Lenny, it has been an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show, to learn about Shlock Rock, to learn about the history of it, to really understand decades of Jewish music, right here. It's almost 3 decades of Jewish music right here. And it just keeps going. You keep shlocking, you keep on shlocking. And that's it, man. That you've coined that you coined that phrase, keep on shlocking, and that's it. You're gonna keep on going. And it seriously was an honor to have you on the show. I was looking forward to this interview all week. And you really made my day. I wish you hatzlacha in the Four Corners project. We'll put a little bit more information up about that on our site. And I wish you hatzlacha in everything you do. And it's seriously this is so cool. I grew up on this stuff, and everybody I know has grown up on your music. And to speak with the man behind Shlock Rock is just awesome. So Lenny, seriously, truly an honor, a pleasure to have you on GoSimcha. And we look forward to hearing more awesome music from Shlock Rock. And if you guys want to download Lenny's stuff, you can visit shlockrock.com. You can visit the Four Corners Project website.com. All his information is there. And you can stay up to date on the latest tours of Shlock Rock and the latest music and the latest parodies that Lenny and the band are putting out. So
thank you very much. It's great. Thank you for having me.
Sure. My pleasure, Lenny. Batzlacha, keep on shlocking, and it will keep us posted on everything that's going on with Shlock Rock. You've just listened to another wonderful episode of GoSimcha the podcast. For more news, updates, and information on our next episode, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram at GoSimcha Live, and don't forget to check out the show notes and videos on www.gosimcha.com along with zeradio.com. Thanks for listening, and remember, Go Simcha!